Welcome to another week's edition of North Shore Crafts Punch Needle Time, where it's playtime every time. This week we're going to do a mixed media art where we talk about knots and copper and zip ties, and stay tuned and figure out what one of my first business ventures was. See you on the other side. pick one point on one side. So you can see I picked one point and kind of always came back to that point and tried to switch it up. And so then you will space it out up here and then come back to the same point here. Fray it a little bit, just stick your finger in it and it frays up for you. And then you'll want to tie this off, so put a little tail in there, and then you will start twisting around over that tail and back up. Tight to be able to hold that so it doesn't come off. And then you can use your tapestry needle to cut this. So this is the end of it, and thread it through. And then you can just snake it on in the underneath your stitches. And pull it tight. Now the punch needle section. We're going to punch a little bit, almost like a flower center, and that will go right in here. Thread your needle through the eye first. Hold it here and tug it down into the handle, and then thread it through. You're going to want to start, so my line is right here. That's what the line I'm going to follow. I'm going to start a couple of holes inside that line and in the middle. So when you pull this tail out, it will get hidden within the loops and it won't be on your edge. Three keys to punch needle: keep your yarn tail loose, go every two to 4 holes, especially in such a little area like this, and go the direction that you're working. Raise the tip of your needle, don't pull it up too high, and touch the handle of your needle each time. When you're done, pull pull a yarn tail loose. Pull it through, and then trim your loop, your tails within the punch needle, within the loops. So to do the wide stitch, you're going to work from the front. It's like a top stitch. And you'll punch in, handle, and then you'll pull the tail out to the back side. And then you just make a wide stitch about, kind of play with it. And depending on your yarn, you might have to hold the yarn loop at the back as you work so it doesn't come out of your punch needle tool. And some tips on the wide stitch. I like to variegate a variety of stitches. So some will be longer and some will be shorter. And then I also sometimes like to have a little part so then I can go hide my stitches in there so it kind of overlaps. So this part is just kind of fun. You gotta kind of do whatever you want. Now you can make your own variation. Some things to consider: the foundation fabric. In a little bit I will show you kind of my design process and what I went through, but this one I chose to use a linen for the background to make it the neutrals kind of stand out. Some other foundation fabrics you can use would be the bleached linen. That would be really pretty with maybe some black accents. The monk's cloth you could use if you don't mind the white lines. Jute is least expensive and it has some different colors. There's navy, there's black, and it would work. It'd be a good cheap option for you. And then the loose weave fabrics, the wool loose weave fabrics that will work for punch needle. Here's a dark gray and here's a pink that I found. I think those would look really pretty with some mixed media on the top of those. And then of course the linen that I chose. I chose the traditional linen because I like the feel a little bit better than the primitive linen, but the primitive linen would also work. What do you have laying around the house that you could use for mixed media? I used to sell leather journals. Little tidbit about me, I used to sell leather journals on Amazon. They were beautiful. And so I had some extras when I stopped selling them, and I kept them because I love the leather look of them. And I thought that I could incorporate it into some craft. And so for this one, that's why there's leather in this one. I cut them up into pieces to use for my art piece. And I even thought somehow you could use it for a purse or something. I've been brainstorming that. Some other things, I got some wood wicks because they're cuttable and it's a wood look for the feel, and I incorporated those. Zip ties, they have the accordion looking thing. I think that could be kind of cool to put that in there. Maybe cut them and glue them to some cardboard or something, so that could be really cool. metal pieces, macrame tubes. I found these at the craft store and I fell in love. You could also try the hardware store. This is a copper piece from Home Depot, and they also have copper piping that you could cut and use that, and they might be a little bit cheaper actually, but they're just little tubes. And then I really wanted to incorporate knots from the knot book that I got, but they were just, I used the big rope for them and they were a little too big for what I was looking for. I do now have the thinner rope that I think I could have maybe made it work with that. But there's some cute knots that you could incorporate. This one I love is with yarn. It was red, otherwise I maybe would have tried to incorporate it. I love that one. And then of course the French bracelet that I've used in the past. You could incorporate that somehow. And then I used yarn, but there's also the macrame cotton yarn strands that you can use. So just different mediums. Mixed medium is about different textures and different looks, and what can you find in your house that would work for a piece like this. Some things I thought of is if you have scrap fabric, you could get a piece of cardboard and glue the fabric onto the cardboard and use that in the middle. Use that in the middle instead of the leather. You could use old t-shirts and put, if it has a cool graphic on it, you could put that in there. There's a lot of different things that you can do with mixed medium. It's kind of just how do you adhere it to your piece? Can I sew it on or glue it on? Can I get it onto the canvas in some way? And then once you have all of your items collected that you want to use for your piece, then you just sit down and play. It's fun. Just make it fun and piece it. I tried to, when I did mine, I tried to sit down and just kind of put the knots on there and put them in different places. And I really, it was truly just play. Just try it, put it on there. No, it didn't look right. And then I even got my sketches out. I thought, well, maybe I know I want to use these two rectangle leather pieces. So how can I make that incorporate this? So then I tried to sketch those two leather pieces in different aspects and what would I do with my punch needle. And I tried to do that route as well. And I wasn't feeling that either. So in the end, I just started putting it on the canvas. So I just thought, well, I know I want the leather and I'm just gonna put that kind of in the middle. And then from there, well, maybe this wood would look over here. And oh, what about this? And the gold pieces. And that's kind of how I pieced it together. And then once I had that, well, this was heavy down here. So what do I do with this? And so then I put the punch needle up there. So that is how I ended up doing this. Next time, now that I've done this, I might do it differently. So it's kind of just play with it. If you get stuck, then try a different method until you find something that you think looks great. And that's mixed media. And if you try something, if you try some of these ideas and you make your own individual, one-of-a-kind mixed media art with punch needle, I want to see it. DM me on Instagram, email me at shauna@northshorecrafts.com, put it in the comments below on YouTube, and be sure to like and subscribe and share this video if you love it so others people can enjoy it as well. And that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and remember, playtime every time.